YouTubers. Last video I recorded and then turned the two spotlights on. It looked like I was recording it down in the coal cellar. So the project I'm going to do this week is a piece of hawthorn. This piece of hawthorn, to be precise. A few weeks ago I turned a hawthorn root ball, and in part of there was like a tiny sort of little curve inside, and I couldn't really get in there to sand it. I couldn't turn it, and it was horrible browny colour. And what I did, I went in with the blowtorch and I burnt it, made it nice black, and it came up a beautiful silky black colour. Really was quite pretty to look at. So what I decided to do this week, I'm going to take this piece of hawthorn, I'm going to turn it into a vase, and then I'm going to set light to it, and hopefully it will come up a beautiful silky black colour, especially if I burnish it as well. So that should bring out a really nice shine on it. So I've not done it before, so sit tight, be a learning curve for both of us. And the thing with hawthorn, it does have a tendency to have folds, I suppose you'd call it, in the actual bark. This is another piece, you can see that in there. And the trouble is, there's one on that side as well, and the trouble is when you come to turn it, it's only that piece in there that would be very usable. That I couldn't use, or I'd end up turning it there and having those huge great fissures in it, and it comes through to the same on that side. So this was probably the best piece. So that is very little in there, so that will be the top of the vase, and I'll bring that down and I'll put the bottom of the vase in there somewhere, or in there probably. So it'll be running across the grain, and I'll optimise that, but obviously the base of the vase needs to be a lot smaller than the top. So that's the plan. Now I've got the piece set up with the chuck on one end, I've got my centre on the other end, and I'm now coming with my roughing gouge. This is the obligatory slow motion shot of chips flying always. So as you see here, I've got my roughing gouge, and I'm just taking the, on the left as you're looking at it, sorry, on the right as you're looking at it, which will be the base of the vase. So I'm taking that down slightly lower, but there's still quite a lot of that I need to take away to try and get rid of some of those big fissures or splits in the wood. So as I said, there's a slow motion shot. Very shortly I'm going to switch to 3 times. This is 3 times now. So all I really want to do is just rough as much wood away as quick as I can, just to give me that sort of classic vase shape. I just want a base on there. So what I've done, I've gone in on the far right, just give me an index mark where I need to go through to part the wood off, so I know that that will be my base. And then I'm just coming in with my bowl gouge, and this is just to form the waist at the base of the vase. So that piece there I'm just forming, which will be the stand for it, and then just gently taking that wood away, just to form that nice little curve in there. So I'm now coming in with a skew chisel, just to flatten this off across the top. Because what I'm going to do now is get my spindle gouge, and I'm going to start to form at the top of the vase, which will be where the vase curls over. So now I want to remove some of the thickness in the wood, and give me a bit of an undercut in there as well. So it's just a matter of just gently cutting all of that away, just to give me that nice classic vase shape. I just need to refine the shape on there now. What I'm going to do is use the gouge, spindle gouge, in a shearing mode. So I turn the tool over so it's almost closed off, and it'll just be cutting on, and it'll just be turning on that very bottom edge there. You see that gives me a very fine cut on there. Some very, very fine curly chips coming off there, which is always a good sign when you're wood turning. And just get to sanding that up. So that's all sanded up. I think I've got that out of proportion really. So what I've done is I put it's probably a technical term for that, but it looks like an acorn sat there in its cup. And what that does is that reduces that, how the eye is looking at that, it reduces that length in there down to there, which brings it back into a better proportion. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the centre away, I'm going to drill straight down through there, and then I'm going to see what I can hollow out of that and finish curving this over so that will curve straight into the actual vase there. That cuts very well, pleased with that. I'll get back to you when that's finished. As you can see, you're looking straight down the bed of the lathe, and what I've done is I've turned the headstock round to its first position, which allows me to get in there a lot easier with my hollowing tool, like that. Because when I do it conventionally, the tailstock gets in the way every time. There you can see there's quite a bit of shadow in there, but you can see down in there how that's hollowing that out. It's hollowing that out quite nicely. Still quite a bit of wood to go. There's still quite a bit of depth to go as well. The only thing I really need to be careful of is because there's so many cracks or fissures on there. I just need to be really careful. If I open up too many of them, all of these pieces will come. It'll almost be, instead of one unit there'll be like 4 or 5 separate pieces, and I will lose any structural integrity of the piece. So we have the piece all hollowed, all turned down, and it's all ready now for burning. I'm going to go in with a blowtorch, and I'm not going to just singe this, I want to proper burn it. Really take it down. I'm not trying to just, as I say, lightly torch it and just bring out the highlight of the grain. I want to completely blacken it, completely set fire to it. Now I have taken several precautions when I was doing this. I've made sure that I've cleaned all the sawdust off the bed of my lathe. I've also turned off all my dust extractors, because the last thing I want is for something like a burning piece of wood to get sucked up in all that sawdust. I suppose with hindsight as well, I really should have swept all the floor up as well, which I didn't do. Which I think if I did this again, that's something I probably would have done, just minimise it. And I do have a fire extinguisher in my workshop, just set off to one side, so that I put that in easy reach, just in case I did have any problems with it. As it turned out, I didn't. It was quite a controlled burn, so I didn't have any issues with it at all. What I did think was quite funny was where I put that little ring halfway up the body of the vase, that wouldn't burn in there at all. I'm not sure why that was, but you see there I'm putting as much heat on there, I'm really burning the bottom part of it. Wouldn't burn at all. It's funny because normally you have a white piece of wood and you burn a black line into it. This I've burnt and I've left a white line. Quite ironic. I finished all the outside, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to burn the inside. And what I want to do is just give that top rim black and then fade the burn as it goes inside of the vase, so it just goes to through different shades to the dark and then down to like a light brown. I'm now going over the Nye Web. I'm not sure if that's Nye Web or Scotch Brite or whatever the difference is. And I'm just going through and I just want to take all the soot off of this. Just went through my box of Dremel bits and I found this brush, and it feels like almost like a Nye Web as opposed to those other brushes I was using just now. I'd be interested to see what it comes up like. If it's too aggressive, I'll just burn it again. Right, let's get some sand sealer on that. Interesting to see this, because normally this is a good bit. It brings all the grain of the wood out. Soot still coming off of there. I have some silver gilding wax, which I think I'll just put on there, because I think that'll just break up that and just highlight the grain in there, I hope. Certainly give me a nice silver line in there. Good thing about this gilding wax is if you don't like it, you put a little bit of something like finishing oil, something like that, and it'll take it all straight off. Bit much. I think so. Let's get some finishing wax to take some of that off. And now I just need to part it off. Well, there we go, YouTube, all finished. Piece of hawthorn, burnt, sanded, brushed, waxed, gilded, and finished in oil. As an experiment, I think it went quite well. Quite enjoyed doing it. It's quite fun playing with these things, just trying to find something different. But the overall effect, I don't think it's anything different than I could have got with using a wood dye, to be honest. So it's not really something I'll be doing again. Although, if you can look down in there, I don't know how well that shows that off. That with the black and then all the lighter browns does look extremely nice down in there. Don't think I'll be doing it again. Certainly wouldn't be bothering with the gilding wax on there. I don't think that brought anything to the party at all. But it's a lovely colour. You do get a lovely, that dark, almost like a nut brown, like a dark oak, like a mature oak, and a lovely shiny finish on it. But I think for the effort that you put into, as I say, I don't think you can do much better just by giving it a coat of wood dye. So there we go, another project, another week. As I say, as an experiment, I think it went quite well, but not something I'll be repeating, I don't think. There we go, thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been Steve Howe, and I've still, even though I'm not over the moon with it, I've still had a couple of good hours playing with it. Bye bye.